episode 12 of the Between Cast Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Colin. Obviously, it's been a long time since we've done one of these. It's been several weeks. I took a little bit of a hiatus with some work stuff and fishing, and this kind of ended up on the back burner. So apologize for that. I know a lot of you guys reached out asking when the next episode is going to show up. So here it is. I'd like to introduce you to a friend of mine that I met at a recent St. Lawrence tournament, Rob. Rob's from Tight Lines Tackle in Cornwall, which is just north of the just north of the U.S. border into Canada. And yeah, I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, as you said, I'm probably one of the closest tackle stops from the Canadian-U.S. border. We're actually 2 minutes from the border. So we do have a lot of Americans that come over to our store to shop. The 40% exchange rate does help a lot. So we get a lot of traffic across. The St. Lawrence River, which basically binds the two countries together, is pretty much the staple for some of the bigger bass tournaments in our area. So we see everything from the MLF to so many different circuits, some of the college circuits that come down. So yeah, there's always a tournament almost every weekend. So our shop is kind of geared towards the tournament angler and obviously just a passion angler also. But the tournament angler is definitely, we get a big clientele from that also.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting how I found the shop. So as I travel around and fish the tournaments, I always try to find a new tackle shop to go to. And up above me, I know you probably can't see it, but I have a collection of hats from all the tackle shops that I've gone to. And part of me looking around was like, all right, I found your shop and wanted to go over and check it out. Unfortunately, I didn't have the proper identification to get across the U.S. border. And I remember telling you this in the store. And basically, I thought I had an enhanced license and did not. So I got the full-blown dog around the car. You know, they pulled me out, checked the boat, checked the truck. The Border Patrol didn't quite understand that I was just a tournament fisherman trying to get across the border to go to a tackle shop and come right back.
Yeah.
But was super glad that I was able to get across and check the shop out. It just like Rob said, it's awesome. It's totally geared for the tournament angler, and you have a ton of great gear that honestly a lot of the shops around here we have a very hard time getting. So if you're in that area, for sure, go check them out. And it is just make sure you have your passport. Don't do it. To drive a lot longer.
It can be a little tricky.
Yeah. Recently attended ICAST. We saw a bunch of your content there down there. A little bit about. I didn't end up getting to make the trip, so I'm kind of bummed, but please do tell us about your experience.
Actually, it was my first ICAST, so I hadn't attended the years prior, so this was my first one. So I was so impressed. I mean, I know that some will say wholesalers felt that maybe the numbers were a little bit lower than previous years, but I'm going to say on a personal note, it was just fantastic. I thought the companies were amazing. The pros up there were fantastic. They were great to want to do videos about showcasing their new products. Obviously, with the Irken style baits, the craze of that, most companies were releasing their own versions of it. So it was maybe a tad oversaturated with that at ICAST. It was either that or how to rig them or the boxes to place them in. So there was a lot of that going on. But that all said, I'll be honest with you, it was a fantastic show. A lot of unique items that came out again this year that I think are going to make. I felt like the show was about bringing a lot of new products just to make it easier for the fishermen to kind of just get around, places tackle, just simplify their fishing, I guess is maybe the best way of saying it. A lot of utility boxes, a lot of special boxes from whether it's Gamakatsu or Spro or Plano or all the brands that were just carrying just things to simplify your fishing. So I thought that was kind of the first thing that stood out to me. Obviously, you got Z-Man introducing a Senko that actually sinks, even though it's elastic material. So that was kind of unique because one kind of goes against the other one. Some new VMC jigs that I thought were pretty interesting on the market. The Breacher, the Ace, obviously. Hide Up. We always think of them about the koi K, but they really introduced a couple of really new pieces, I think, this year that are going to be really interesting for both our fisheries. There was just a lot of cool things. I was excited about it. It was a fun few days.
Yeah. So what if you are? I'd say as a first timer, what are a couple things that if you go, like, you gotta go check out?
Good question. I think it's so big that you need to narrow down before you get there what you're going to get. Like I'll give an example. I wasn't interested in bringing a new rod company because I already have five,
Mm-hmm.
but we had decided to introduce two more. So just and that sometimes is like a curveball of it, right? You might get there and realize that there's just something you really weren't looking for. So sometimes it's the element of not really planning ahead and knowing that you just got to go get that thing that might just be something you don't have. There's always my favorites. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge JDM guy, so the Koike, the products from Hide Up were interesting to me. Japan Tackle was there, so they had a couple of really unique baits. So those are a couple of the key ones. In Canada, Dobbins is a very small piece of the pie when it comes to the rod market. But I know that in the States they're quite big. So I believe we're actually going to be one of the first companies to bring them back into Canada. So they were there quite a bit towards the beginning, but now we'll be re-released at our store. So that was one. So as for like having to check out, it's about, I guess I compare that show a little bit to doing a tournament or pre-fish for a tournament. You're trying to eliminate water. So I guess you're trying to eliminate things that are not of interest to you so that you can just focus on what really hits your market. And I think that's what we tried to do the best at ICAST. But there was, like I said, there's a lot to see. I mean, we spent 3 full days there and we probably could have done a fourth one.
Yeah. And if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, ICAST is like the giant trade show for fishing of the year, and pretty much it's media guys, manufacturers, and retailers are
Yeah.
invited to attend,
Yep.
and it's your very standard. A lot of guys showing off what they got, what they worked on this year, and there's also awards that are given out for innovation and new products. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
getting into some of the JDM stuff. You walk into your shop, and that's obviously your guys's. That's your wheelhouse, right?
Yeah, we
Uh,
try. Yep.
yeah, and here in the states, I'm sure there are shops out there. I'm very East Coast centric,
Yep.
Northeast centric. So there are very few shops that carry that level of JDM product. What do you think is the biggest difference between the JDM kind of market and the American or Canadian market?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the JDM market, whether we want to admit it or not, I think they're always a few years ahead of us, whether that's the US or Canadian. I think they're always ahead of the game. Example, the Koike. It's been really strong now for the last 6 months in North America, but it existed in Japan for so many years, right? So sometimes I think what makes it different is that they're more innovative. They come out with stuff way before what we do. Sinking braid, that existed up there for years, but we see it down here over the last few years with the All Might from Sunline, and now you're seeing Daiwa introduce one. Shimano has one coming out any day. So I mean, those are all things you wouldn't have, you wouldn't really be going after, but they're just ahead of the game so much, and that makes it challenging because a lot of these key companies out of Japan are very, very tiny. So when you mention you don't see too many shops that might have a big assortment of JDM, it may not necessarily be that they don't want to. It's just it's very difficult to get, and you have to have such a strong contact with your customers in Japan just to bring that product in that it can be very challenging, based on obviously, the language factor, the time zones. They're small companies, whether we look at a company like G-Crack or Hide Up, like, I mean, these are not companies that have 200 employees. So
Right.
when they hit a home run or jackpot on a new bait, they're just not ready to cope with that demand. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge versus us here, where things are maybe easier accessible to get some larger numbers.
Do you have the same type of? I try not to make this show political at all. But do you have the same type of like shipping problems that we have in the U.S. with certain countries not wanting to necessarily do business with us sometimes?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's a tricky one. So I'm gonna be honest with you. Probably our biggest challenge is um, I probably for certain companies, okay, have an easier time dealing with Japan than I do with the US.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because obviously there's a lot of amazing companies in the US, but they're kind of afraid of the tariff shipping border that we have, right? So often, so we've actually opened a brokerage out of the US so it would make our transition much easier for our US accounts. So that made our job a little easier, which has opened up some doors to us for companies that necessarily don't want to ship into Canada. So when it comes to the Japanese market, it's the cost, right? I mean, you cannot place a $2,000 Japanese order coming into Canada because it'll cost you, 1,200 US in shipping. I mean, the logistics behind it are just
Yeah.
not smart. So when you do place an order, you have to make it a huge order.
Yeah.
And then the challenge with that is that they don't necessarily have the product to ship that quickly, so then they have to prepare it, which means that what you might have placed an order might take 2 months before it actually comes in. I look at the Koike. I just received an order literally today that I placed probably about, it's got to be at least 12, 15 weeks ago.
Wow.
So like your transition times are very
Yeah.
slow when you're looking with Japan. So it's just two different markets that we in Canada we need both because we don't do a lot of our own fishing
Sure.
products in house. So I mean that we rely on the U.S. and on Japan for our store a lot.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, it's always seems like if it's that kind of like culture thing where like if there's something outside of the U.S. wants it, but if you go like
Yes.
somewhere else in the world, like people want stuff from the U.S. and it's always this crazy like
Yeah.
kind of
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
it's neat, and I think I played with a lot of like the JDM stuff that everybody's got to play with.
Yep. Yep.
I know there's a lot of like sneaky stuff out there that
Oh.
seems like every time you look around, there's like, oh yeah, here's this new little bait, and it kind of like pops up, and then someone just puts it in their back pocket, and you don't see it again for a few weeks. Um,
No.
so it's definitely cool just to see like how they innovate, and you know, I think a lot of it is just a lot of our fish haven't seen it.
Oh yeah.
And there is definitely a difference between a fish that hasn't seen something and like watching that actually happen, whether they bite the bait or not. Like even because we have the live scope now, we have real time imaging, right? You see a fish come
Yep.
and they're staring at it and just like, what is that? And that's so
It's
much of their design.
It's so true. Like we do a lot of tournament fishing, and obviously, like everybody else, you throw a Senko, and often, you'll generate that bite. And the weirdest thing is that sometimes when they don't go on a Senko, I'll throw a bellow stick from G Crack,
Mm-hmm.
which is again pretty much a Senko, but it's ribbed, right?
Yep.
But I don't know if it's the scent in it, but I don't know how many times I've thrown a Yamamoto or Berkeley Max Scent Senko and it just won't go. And as soon as you throw the G Crack bellow stick, and then all of a sudden it just like beelines and goes right at it right away, like boom, right away. And you're kind of like, what's in there that just, turn the switch on for that fish to just attack? And there are a few of those JDM baits that just do that. Like I look at the Koike Thunder. That to me is my. I've got it right here, but basically like this little thing right here, like I would never go into a tournament without this. Like
Yeah.
it's got to be in my boat all the time, rigged up. And when the bite gets tough, I will toss that in, and sooner or later we will get the bite with it. Like, it's just one of those baits. So I don't know. You're so right when you say that. It's just and sometimes they're not that innovative. Sometimes they are, but
Mm-hmm.
they just I don't know if it's their scent or the type of plastic they use, but something's driving up there.
Right. Do you think it's obviously we're getting to a point in the U.S. too where our waters are pressured. Like just I live
Yes.
right here on the shores of Lake Champlain, right? And just the past 2 weeks here, it's been. I mean, it's Monday, right? Today's Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday. I went out and I saw 10 boats within the ramp. just crazy busy for what I would think would be a Monday, and it's not a long weekend. So, um,
Yeah.
you know, how much of their pressure over there drives their design?
I yeah, I agree. I think it's a huge factor. I mean, when I look at just what's going on right now, we had the big tournament last weekend that had a little bit of the controversy, but there was over 100 teams. We have the MLF that's there right now, and then just snowballs. There's just another group. We got the BASS that's coming in or has just shipped same area again. So like I mean there's just so many teams coming by. So the pressure is getting worse and worse. And like you mentioned, Champlain is now known as a hot spot for bass fishing too. So that adds to it. And you see people traveling to it. And let's face it, between where my store is located, you're looking at about an hour and a half to versus a lot of the U.S. and Canadian customers are crossing over to go fish there, right? So there's just so much more pressure than what there was in the past. So yeah, it definitely has a factor. So I think if they can find something they haven't seen, that's what we're all. That's why stores like mine exist, is to try to find that one or two key item that maybe somebody else doesn't have that might get the extra bite.
Do you see a drop in sales of like conventional type tackle,
Uh,
or do you think people
yes
are
and no.
buying up, flipping butter?
I think yes and no. I'll give you an example. Like we're going to use the Irken style baits. So most of the whether it's a Koike or any of these baits, so they're going to be way more popular and effective down your way than they will be down my way, because we are probably 90% smallmouth bass. So although they will go after the smallmouth bass, will eat them also. Generally speaking, there's probably a bigger appetite for largemouth fishing. So all the customers, all we're seeing everywhere is exactly these baits. So we're selling them like hotcakes, one after another, which has hurt the other sales.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we're now starting to see a transition where they're coming back to those conventional items, because they're realizing, okay, the black Senko is still always going to work. A chatterbait's always going to work in an area here. So I think you're seeing a transition back towards it. But yeah, absolutely, it has changed everybody's habits, and also those baits are very expensive.
Right.
So I mean, they're not they're not $7-8 a pack, right? So
Right.
they're a little bit more expensive. So yeah, for sure, I think it has.
Do you think there is? Do you think it's a misconception that all JDM baits are expensive? Like, I feel like you see a lot of it on Facebook.
Mhm.
That's where we do a lot of
Yes,
sales are on Facebook.
yes,
You
yes.
see like three different baits for $150, right? Is that just resellers, or is
Yeah, I think probably the bait itself is not hard. It's not expensive. It's not more expensive than buying a bait from the US or Canada. I
yep.
think what hurts is obviously the duties, the imports, and the shipping from it. It probably costs us more than the actual bait itself for many times, right? So yeah, and I think there's always that. I don't know. Sometimes you have a conversation, and you can have a pack of something that's you know 15.99, and they're like, oh, that must be JDM because it's so expensive. So and you're like, yeah, it is. So I think there is a thought process behind it. I don't think it's necessarily wrong. I mean, JDM products are more expensive. So yeah, I think soft plastics in general, especially in Canada, they've gone up a lot lately. I don't know how it is on the US side, but I remember just like we're going to be at our 5th anniversary this year, and I look at example a pack of Berkeley Max Scent. Like we used to sell it for $8.99, $9.99, and I think we just got another price increase coming up. It's going to be $12.99. So that's $1 a year almost.
Yeah,
So
we're 10. It's 10 for a pack, a basic pack, whatever flatworms. It's $10 a pack
it's
US.
$10 a pack. See, so I mean,
$2 a pack. Yeah.
yeah. So I think there's not too many other than I think what Z-Man and Yum would probably be the most cost efficient soft plastics on the market. I don't know if it's the same
Yeah.
ones for.
Yeah, that's for us. I don't know. You get a lot of like the Yum products. So it seems
Yeah,
to haven't really been
yeah.
hit with too much of the inflation.
No.
Yamamoto's are they can be $9. I've seen them $9 a pack US.
Yeah,
Uh,
so that makes sense for about 11, 12, right? So
yeah.
that conversion is pretty accurate.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of those, the Berkeley, anything with anything purple is
Yeah,
usually a
it's
couple
anymore.
$2 more.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because we started bringing in the Max Scent, Berkeley Max Scent from Japan. So they got example like they got a Critter Craw. They got a couple of the ones that we don't necessarily have back home. I think think maybe even in the U.S. there's a few different, like the Pulse Shad. I don't know if that one's available in the States or not, but I don't
I haven't seen
believe
it
it is.
come
But
in retail, but I've
no,
seen them.
you've
Yeah,
seen them, yeah.
yeah,
And like when you bring those in, like for us, you're looking almost getting close to $20 a pack because
yeah.
with all the extra fees and stuff. But again, it's about throwing something they haven't seen, and I think people are
Right.
still interested by it. So I think there's always a people always not everybody, a lot of people understand that they do have some cool products that are worth paying for. Um, but yeah, it can be
And,
go both
and
ways.
And I know you said you guys don't have necessarily like the large tackle industry that we have here in the U.S., but
Yeah,
you look around and a lot of the companies that were even like made in the U.S., a lot of it's not made in the U.S. anymore. It's bought somewhere else. It's brought here, maybe packaged here or put together here, and
absolutely.
so like even like the whole like I'm sure you guys have it in Canada too. We have the whole made in the USA thing, and it's like
Yes.
you know
Is it, eh? Yeah.
right? Yeah. So right. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, we have the same thing. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's yeah, sometimes it looks like it is, but it's not always the case for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, and you walk around a lot of the stores and you look at the backs of the packages and it's these companies are slowly like just I think it just comes down to they're being priced out.
I think so. I think they're being priced out. I would probably go further to even say that I'm guessing a lot of these companies are manufactured in the same places too.
Probably.
So I think that we could probably, if there's 50 different brands out there, there's possibility of many of them being done in the same industries.
Yeah, like it's even I heard some rumors with a lot of the tungsten. I don't know if you guys are having the issue too, but like
Yeah.
gig heads, bye
Oh
bye,
yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
we're not gonna be able to find them soon.
No, no. And that's too bad because I'm a huge believer of tungsten. Like, I mean, I swear by those Beast Coast jigs, but, we went from 10.99 to 17.99. And
Yeah,
now you start thinking about, geez, if I
yeah,
lose three a day, it's starting to be an expensive day on the water, right?
yeah.
So it's a big factor. But yeah, tungsten in general, I love the sensitivity of it. I think it does make a huge difference, especially with bottom contact, especially when you're
Mhm.
fishing deep, personally. But I think it's going to be a challenge, and you're absolutely right. We're seeing less on the market, and what's there is very expensive. So
And you'll even see it. Like I saw the Beast Coast guys posted something the other day. I think they're calling the L compound, right? Like
yes,
a lot of that is people are going to start moving. I think back towards that what is going to end up being lead because it's available,
absolutely. Yeah, I think we're going to start seeing that transition there. Yep.
which will be nice because we can afford it again.
Well, yeah,
Hopefully,
because I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, exactly. There comes a point where there is a limit to what we want to spend for.
right?
It's gotten too. I think it's gotten too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, the downfall is I'm almost starting to see a little bit of the lead prices going up. It's almost like one feeds off the other. So
I'm
then you're
sure.
kind of like, yeah,
Well, that's the
exactly.
thing. It's like, because now I feel like, and this may be a little bit of tangent. I feel like we hurt ourselves as anglers sometimes because we'll really show you how much we'll spend on something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's like negotiation 101, throw it right out. It's like, all right, yeah, I'll spend $17 on a jig. So then the lead guys go, all right, they'll spend $17 on jig. I'm
Yeah,
gonna spend $10 on our stuff, right?
that's right. Oh yeah, 100%. You're so right with that. I think, yeah. I mean, often the tackle is to trick the angler more than the fish. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's not taken away. I think there's a lot of like really good stuff out there.
Oh yes, yes.
But you can tell like I've taken jigs before that I've spent what I thought was pretty good, $7, $8, $9 on a jig. Felt pretty good about it. First three
Yep.
casts, the band pops off it. I'm like, really?
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
bad. Whatever. It happens.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think sometimes you do get what you pay for, and but yeah, but there's going to be some. I think we're going to see some major changes in the next few years, even like on the tournament circuit. Like I don't know how it is on the U.S. side, but like I know in Canada here, we've had a couple of circuits that have closed down. We have some circuits that the numbers just aren't there.
Yeah.
So I think the cost of doing business is starting to hit some people for sure.
Right. And it's all rumors right now, but the MLF, the BFLs, which is what I fish and my buddies fish, sounds like
Yep.
it is about to cease to exist
No. Wow.
on a team trail, which is
Okay.
I think neat. It's gonna be like a national team trail, but I don't know if we need another team trail. There's
Yes.
already so many,
So would you fish the same? you'd fish with the same angler all year. Is that how basic it would be?
Like, so nothing's set in stone yet, but
No, no.
what I've heard is that you'll have one partner for the year, and you can fish it solo if that partner's unavailable. But I don't know if it'll be like you need to fish like two with your partner, three with your partner, or whatever, half, three quarters.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I don't think it's gonna help their numbers much, but
No, no. Again, is yeah, and again, why all these changes? Is it just because the numbers aren't there, or is it just people are? Sometimes too much
yeah,
change is not better, but
right. And I think these guys spend a lot of time trying to point to the one thing. Is it forward facing sonar? Is it payouts? Is it entry fees? Is it co-anglers? Is it the anglers? Right. I think it's a little bit of
yes,
everything.
yeah. I think it's yeah, absolutely. I think it's a mixed recipe of everything going on. So
100%. I think the cost
yeah,
of just tournament fishing in general has reached, I think for a lot of people, like a unaffordable realm where like to travel now,
yes,
unless there are trails out there that have great payouts. I've seen your payouts are phenomenal.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. We do have good payouts for sure. Yeah, yeah,
and
absolutely.
then the gear and the stuff is awesome, but you
Yeah.
know my stuff, it's like we pay our $200. We have 70 boats. The winner gets $3,500. It's like the rest of us are out on our own. So
Yes, that's right.
yeah,
Yes, I mean, yeah, and that's probably a big factor of it, right? That's like I said, the cost of operating the boat, the gas, and the entries, the pre-fishes, the travel time. Because I mean, especially on your side, your tournaments are so spaced out from one to the other that it can get pretty crazy.
right. That's your trail's mostly local guys, correct?
Yeah, so we would do so like our major trail on the Canadian side is probably called like the bait fuel fishing series. So the bait fuel fishing series would go from as close by as we'll say St. Lawrence, which is where we're located in Cornwall, Ontario. So we'll say for the sake of argument, we'll say like Messina, New York,
Mm-hmm.
and then the furthest one would be the Bay of Quinte, which would be like Lake Ontario. So you'd be looking at I mean maybe 45 minutes past Clayton type thing or an hour past Clayton. So it's like it's further out. So I mean you're it's a pretty local trail. So like for someone like me, the furthest I travel will be like 3 hours.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So that's nothing at all. You know what I mean?
No.
So and they'll give out 50 teams in our trail. First place takes home 8,000. Top nine payout. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
pretty good numbers.
yeah. For
So
the top, yeah, that's pretty good actually.
yeah, and then if you finish in the top 40, you actually have a chance at a bass cat boat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, that's pretty good. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Mind you, the gentleman that actually puts on the trail actually, obviously kicks in quite a bit of money into it himself. I'm
yeah,
sure behind the scenes. I don't know how it's never been discussed, but I'm sure he
yeah.
we're
He's a
smart
big
enough to realize that the numbers don't match up without him being
right.
involved. So
What
um,
is your entry fees?
I'm sorry.
What are your entry fees?
Oh, so entry fees are 2,800, I believe. Sorry, 2,300 for the year. So
There,
yeah,
that's not
yeah.
bad.
So no, no, exactly 2,300. I figure all said and done, hotels and everything, you're probably at about 7,500, maybe,
I,
maybe a
I,
tad more, but
I bet
depending on
that's
the
not enough
pre-fish.
for half the half the payout.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
right. That's right. So if you can get into it a little bit, then you can actually. We've had some anglers in that trail that will get maybe 15 to 25,000 a year back. So I mean that's definitely a great return, and obviously there'll be some guys that will probably never cash in, but it's still a competitive, fun field for
yeah,
sure. Hmm.
awesome. Yeah, we have a lot of ours is like we have a lot of like smaller clubs, that are your weekend pots, maybe $1,000 here, $1,200 here, depending on what it is. But
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest gripes we have is here is just like payouts, 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 and everyone's talking about the payouts. I,
Okay.
Sometimes I'm gonna be one of those guys. Like I'm not gonna be the one to cry about a payout because I'm not
No.
getting paid very often. Okay,
No.
so,
No. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah.
but I get it for the guys that are really trying to make it work, make a living, whether that's through tournament fishing in a tackle shop, tournament fishing and guiding, right? Whatever it is, and it can be tough. It's a tight industry. Everyone wants a little piece of the pie.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's so well said. I mean, you're absolutely right. I do feel like there's probably, am I right to think there's a decent amount of guys that do guiding on the side that do yeah, it seems to be quite popular, right, on most trails in that area. So
Yeah,
that's
we have a fair bit, especially once you get to more like the top
top
few
nice.
trails. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely it's a big factor for sure. I mean, I get it. It's got to be so expensive to do a trail. I mean, yeah, and we have a lot of like single day events. Like I look at ourselves, like at the store, we're hosting one in 2 weeks from now, where it's like 50 teams, $250 to get in, and first place is 6,000 to win. So again, there, not a huge investment, but you
Yeah,
get 1 in 50 chance of getting $6,000. It's pretty decent, and
pretty good.
and we give every dollar back. We're giving $13,000 back in money. So like there's a lot of those little individual tournaments, because we have a lot less trails than you do.
Yes.
We might have like two options on our way.
Yeah,
So
I think just in where I live, I mean, there's three, four, five just clubs in
really,
general, and yeah, and then you can hop in a BFL, a Toyota, a nation event. Like it's every weekend. If you wanted to, you could fish a tournament every weekend, probably including
really,
every club. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
wow,
So there's plenty
yeah,
of them out there.
yeah,
If we
exactly,
consolidated and maybe made like one or two like big clubs, and then
yeah,
we could
a little
probably
different.
help ourselves out a little bit, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe it's getting diluted a little bit because there's so many, right? So
could be.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
What? So we had going to tournaments on the St. Lawrence. The NPFL guys
Yeah,
spent some
yeah.
time on the St. Lawrence this week, and day one sounded like it was a little bit of a
Yes,
struggle.
a little bit of controversy on
Yeah,
yeah, and there's so many different ways to look at it. Like I think it boils down to it would appear that there was a misunderstanding between the tournament circuit and the locksmith, or however we would call him, that takes care of it. It looks like there was just a message that wasn't gotten across, but yeah, I got mixed feelings. Like I mean, boy, if I was in the game and I was coming back with a 21, 22 pound bag, I don't think I would be very happy. To buy in to get to this tournament is quite expensive. So
right.
I definitely felt like I could understand the frustrations. On the same token, yeah, like it's got messy a little bit. Obviously, day two and day three were much smoother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a magic answer to that one. Feel bad for everybody involved, right? I mean, there's so much work to organizing tournaments, and it's just an oversight, but it's expensive oversights. There's
Yeah.
people these are livelihoods, and there's a
100%.
lot of money on the line. I didn't realize it was 100 grand for first price. It's a lot of money. So yeah, so I don't know how many. Did you find out exactly how many teams roughly were caught up? Is it
I don't know. I don't have the exact number. I know it was like there was a group of guys that were able to get in and out of the lock. So like
okay?
I heard
Okay,
that I'm trying to think. Like Swindle made it through. Um,
okay,
there's a couple other guys. I heard saw some people that were like, "Yep, I was able to make it through barely."
okay.
And then basically a lock full of guys got stuck for whatever it was 2.5 hours. Many of
Yeah,
those guys weren't able to weigh their fish. That trail has a 15 minute. If you're more than 15 minutes,
you're done.
you lose your weight. Yep.
Okay,
It sounds like a lot of people got like 11 and 12 minute penalties at a pound a minute.
so you're done. Yeah,
So they're done, right? So if you got
yeah.
caught in that lock, pretty much
It's too bad because you get there and they gave themselves roughly a lot of them saying they were there 2 hours prior, so they had a lot of time. It's not like these were last minute calls and were not responsible. They were.
right.
It's just yeah, well, it's a circumstance that's very yeah. I don't know how they would end up. Has there any resolutions? Are they just it's just too bad, or has anything?
Yeah, from everything I heard, there was like a sincere apology.
Okay,
I heard that the NPFL had written a check to the governing lock to
okay,
to get basically guarantee the time and like
okay,
it
okay.
like which is fine, but like I don't know how you guarantee anything, especially when it's like I didn't know that lock was used for bass boats. I
Yeah,
didn't know
so
it could be used.
yeah, so they can use it for bass boats. Yeah, yeah, I did know that. There's so many ships that go by, so you're right. I don't know how they could really plan ahead? Because I mean, I know some people are saying, well, they paid for those boats and they should have had priority, but we have to understand that on these ships, there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and on each
Right.
one of them. So, there's still a debate there. But I'm not sure how they does. Is there anywhere in the U.S. that would have a similar situation where they have these types of locks?
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
our
is it
rivers.
common? Yes.
So like a lot of our rivers down or where I live, locking is not very common.
Okay.
The one of like a few of the places where you would lock it would be there in Messina, but most of the time the baffles are open. You just run through them.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
But you start getting into like Tennessee rivers got locks, Arkansas River, Mississippi River, all like these bigger rivers all
Okay.
have locks that break them apart.
Okay.
I personally have not fished any of those bodies of water where locking is a huge deal. But it's one of those things like you're now like I like to be able to control my day and like when I'm fishing,
Yes.
I'm going to leave at this time. I'm going to go to this spot. Right, you're now going into a lock. They're going to close the walls, and you're going to wait for the guy to press the button to fill it up.
It was pretty crazy. A couple of things that came to my mind. One was a video that was posted where there's, I don't know how many, I'm gonna say a dozen to 15 bass boats that are inside the lock, and they're raising the water, and then when they open the gates, they're all going 100 tilt, and she is rough in there. Like the
Yeah.
boats are going left and right, and you could tell like they're posting videos, and there's a few guys that are like the guys at the front. They're not worried because they're like first, but it was rough when those
Yeah.
gates opened up, and obviously we have to remember for maybe our American friends that may not know this, like as long as I've been fishing, this is maybe only the second time where those locks have been completely closed.
Yeah.
So this is not a normal situation for us. So the water levels are so high at one end that they've had to close the locks to not flood the city. So
Yeah.
there's areas in Montreal, Quebec, that were flooded. So if they would have kept all these gates open, they could have flooded. I'm not saying the whole city, but they would have flooded a lot of the areas. So they kind of obviously that's what they control it by. But I've never myself as a fisherman seen it been this closed this long into a season. So
Yeah.
to the defense of the circuits going on, I don't think anybody's expecting this situation to happen, and it probably would never happen again. Like
No.
it's usually is always open. So we've never seen a situation like this.
And that's the thing. It's like, I applaud them for trying to come up with a creative solution to
Yes.
allow the anglers to fish more of the body of water.
Yes.
Um, in the same token, there were guys that never locked that smashed him. John Cox smashed him. I don't think he left Messina. Is
No.
rumor, right? So like, you
Yeah.
know, everyone, and I don't know if you have it in Canada too, but we get a lot of it in the U.S. where like if I'm on the St. Lawrence River and I can't run 100 miles down the river to go to Thousand Islands and go
Yeah.
to
I'm not going. Yeah.
right? And then,
Yeah.
there's a there's a lot of good fish between here
Well.
and there, and I get
Yeah.
it. Like it's the closer you get to the lake,
The bigger the fish are.
whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but we have to remember, and this is a big thing that if you look at the amount of big tournaments, whether it's the MLF or the one that happened last weekend that we're discussing about, like these tournament launched, a lot of them launched from Messina.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority, like I've said, of anglers will go up right out to the lake. But the weigh-in is back in Messina. So those fish are released in back in Messina. Don't think all those small bass are going back to the lake a second time. Like, I mean, this is it's I don't know how many kilometers or miles it would be, but I mean, this is a long ride. I mean, they're not swimming back to the lake. So
No.
you're absolutely right. There's a very good concentration of huge fish right in Messina. That whole area there. It's there's some huge fish there. We don't have to go to the lake to have, and you can get a mid-20 bag up there. I'm not saying easily because that's a hell of a bag, but it's possible. A 20-pound bag on 5 fish is not it's common up there. It's very common, but again, like you just mentioned, everybody wants to go to the lake and take the long drive up,
Yeah.
and it can be a rough day to get up there, and you can never make it because of how rough it can be at times. So
Right.
it's a trek for sure.
And I looked at even when we were there for the BFL, it was the guys that stayed in Messina did pretty well. I'm pretty sure the guy that won the tournament stayed in that
In
general
Messina.
area. And a lot of us that ran down to Waddington
Yeah.
didn't do as hot. Or at least the guys that I talked to. I'm sure there's some guys down there that did.
Yeah.
But the stuff that we did
It's
down in practice wasn't great on game day and just got
and
pounded.
often like that Messina, New York area. It fishes small, like in the sense of speaking. There's islands, there's points, there's beautiful sand beds, there's deep beds. There's a lot of things to find, but you can really break it down and probably over a 3 day period of finding some good quality spots. But when you start looking towards the lake, like it's a needle in a haystack. Like you're not going to find much if you just do 2 3 days of pre-fish. Like it takes a lot of time on the water in that area because it's big water. Like it's massive water, you know. So you're absolutely right. It's sometimes taking the easy route, and you lose an hour and a half each day you're pre-fishing often. So those are long drives, right?
Right. And that's, I'm it's
It's
kind
a
of one of
risk.
those things. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, looking back at it, I probably should have just, my game plan was awful and didn't really work well. And I fished awful on top of it. So it just
Yeah.
worked well.
So it didn't work out.
It was a bad mix.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I wrote a lot of that off like so fast. I was like, I kind of putzed around Messina, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna run to Waddington, kind of do the stuff around there, and I caught a couple of decent fish in there, and it just like that day, it totally just like reinforced
what you were thinking.
probably what was a shitty plan to begin with.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I caught a couple decent ones, and then
Yeah.
like as the week went on, it was like 15 boats, another 20 boats, and then I'm like, all right, like
Yes.
too late. And at that point, I had spent a lot of time in that area and really overlooked what could have been something very simple right in front of your eyes. But
Right price.
you feel the need, like that's the craziest thing with tournament fish. You feel the need to sometimes just, oh, I gotta get away. I gotta go down here. I gotta come over here.
Yeah.
I gotta do this. And some of the best guys that do this sport are just like, yep,
Yep.
I'm right in these couple spots right here. I'm not going to
Yeah.
get myself in trouble. I'm not going to get caught in a lock. I'm not
No.
going to go down to the lake, get my stuff broken. I'm going to come back. I'm going to
Yeah.
be consistent. I'm going to cash a check. And if not,
Yeah.
I'm going to be in the top 10. So,
Well, you bring a very good point when you talk about breaking stuff, because I mean when you get towards the lake, that's the next risks that happen. Is there's so much waves, boat traffic, 6 foot rollers is nothing on the lake. So I mean you can really do a lot of damage when you're fishing up there. So it's true going close. And then we always have to remember that. And oftentimes, I believe that when you were on the water that weekend, we were also on the water on the Canadian side. So sometimes where one group is leaving from Messina, there's one leaving closer to the lake. So even if you think you're going to get to your spot, you're not going to get there first because they're leaving half an hour earlier. Or, like they got a head start. So there's so many circuits happening at the same time in that body of water that it just becomes a challenge in itself for that. So, but yeah, but. I mean, they call it the mighty St. Lawrence for a reason, is that it can play games for everybody. Mind games too.
it's one of those places that every time I leave, I feel like something breaks. And it doesn't matter like how like gentle I am with my equipment, or like, hey, I'm not gonna go do anything crazy. It's just like it's a lot of water, it's a lot of current,
It's a lot of currents.
like if your stuff isn't really dialed in right, and okay, so maybe something's like on the fritz or it wanted to quit, the current will make it quit. Like
Yes, there's a love-hate relationship with the St. Lawrence based on people love the fact that you can catch trophy smallmouth bass. Like we've seen some high sevens being caught recently. I mean, those are amazing fish. But there's the hate portion that you can break stuff. The current just changes your way of fishing. I don't know of another area that fishes like the St. Lawrence with the current. It's very, very unique. Where sometimes the current's going in one direction underwater, which is the opposite direction of what you see at the top, and it's just very, very unique how people fish. And so it becomes challenging.
yeah,
When you figure it out, it's amazing, but it can take some time.
Right, and that's like anything. I feel like we've become so just like instant gratification, and I
Yes.
get caught in it too, where I'm just like, all right, I have live scope, I have side imaging, I have 2D, I have down scan, I have my eyeballs, like I have a
Yeah.
polarized sunglasses on, I got all of these things and all of this info coming in, and it's like I still can't find the dang fish. You're like, what is going
Yeah.
on? And it's like we're on the St. Lawrence River, and like there should be
Yeah.
6 pounders everywhere. And it's like at the end of the day, like 6 pound smallmouth is what is that 10 to 15 year old fish?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were thinking that it was about 15 years old for a 6 pounder. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
You know,
It's yeah, there's a reason why they're that old is because they don't get caught that easily. So they're smart fish. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's still you still need to be in the right place at the right time, doing the right things, and it's
Yeah.
not I don't know. It's a body of water I have never done all that well on historically.
Yeah.
Partly because I just don't spend enough time on
No
the
time
body
to
of
it.
water. There's guys that are just they're so dialed in when the current and the wind does this.
Oh,
This is what we do,
yeah.
right? And I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, there's some current and it's windy out and there's some waves.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go fish this point.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's weird because we have a lot of people that will like a lot of anglers that will just drift the St. Lawrence. Like they'll just literally like almost do nothing, drop shot, drift, Carolina something, like, and it's amazing the success they have sometimes with a less is more approach. And yeah, it's one of those, like, it's amazing. Like you can get some days on the St. Lawrence where you'll catch 40, 50 fish and just everything's going well. And then you're going to go the next day, the same routine and end up with 5 fish. And you're like, what just happened? But the current changed. And then all of a sudden the current screwed up the whole bite. So, I mean, as a tournament and you don't come out very often, it's a huge factor for sure.
Right. Oh, that's kind of weird. New recording track created.
There you go.
I don't know what happened there. We lost some video.
Oh, that's perfect.
Well, we can edit it up.
That's all good. No worries.
Yeah, but no, I agree with that. The less is more
Yeah.
aspect, and even because I've tried to do the drifting thing and like growing up saltwater fishing, like that's huge. Like you go and you drift with the tide over whatever rock piles, wrecks, this whole thing. So,
Yeah.
But in my brain, I tend to overthink things. And I'm always like, am I going too fast? Am I going too slow?
Yes.
Right? Like, and then
Yeah.
I feel like it's like any body of water where there's a lot of dead space, and you're drifting, and you're going
Absolutely.
through the dead
Yes.
zone where
Yes.
there's big sand flats where I think walleye and perch would live, but maybe not a smallmouth in the middle of it, right? But
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's a very good point when you said there is a lot of dead water, and when you drift, cover a lot of water, but you're also covering a lot of dead water. So, and you're absolutely right. It's also a way of, I think it's probably also a way of find fish. So if you do 4 or 5 drifts in the same spot and you seem to catch them always toward the same spot, well then maybe you can focus on that spot. Either jig it, use put a minnow just on their heads and see if they'll come up and grab it, or drop shot it. So you can break it down that way too. But yeah, it's for sure. It's a pretty cool way of fishing.
that was our day down there. It seemed the afternoon that bite really took hold. The morning bite, it seems like a lot of people caught them up shallow. They were still.
Yes.
You guys were. I would say we were a couple weeks behind where we were, where you still had a lot cruising up there and kind of doing the post spawn feed bag before they really go out deep. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
That bite kind of died for me at maybe 10:30 when that sun kind of got a little higher. And
Yeah.
Talking to guys afterwards, they're like, "Oh yeah, the last half of the day, dragged a football jig around and
Grab them. Yeah.
it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, obviously, sun came up, the fish were done doing their thing. Go target fish that are doing something different, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah. Like I said, it's just it's just you said it perfectly. It's a love hate. You never know how it's gonna go, and it's just a body of water that just changes all the time, and you think you have it figured out, and then you don't, or you come back next year and what you caught them on last year, you can't buy a bite with it. It's just
100%.
every year is different, and yeah, for sure.
And my hats are definitely off to the guys and that just have that place really figured out. And
They got dialed in.
right, and one day when I get this whole Lake Champlain thing
Yeah,
figured out,
yeah, we're gonna go there next.
but I've been living here for 10 years now, and I still don't have it figured out. So
Oh yeah, it's oh for sure, and it takes time. I mean, hey, we always hear that expression, "Time on the water," but I mean, that's a big water to put time in. So.
yeah. So what else? What else you got? What else?
Hey, not anything much more, but I mean, you know what? It was exciting to meet you. It was a kind of a cool to be on this podcast and kind of talk about it because it's nice to see how different fisheries. You know, we're far apart. We're not that far apart.
Yeah.
See how things are similar and yet again quite different. So, and yeah, and you do the same circuit every year, or are you
This was my
committed towards it?
Yeah, this is my second year doing the BFLs. I fished the Douglas Opens before that. I don't know if those
Okay.
are still a thing or not, but
Yeah.
and then with the changes to what is probably going to be the getting rid of the BFLs, I'm gonna have to probably make a decision.
Yes.
The Toyotas are like the next step up.
Yeah.
They are a little bit more expensive. They're in that $1,700 a pop range. So financially,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to kind of sit down and maybe crunch some
Yeah.
numbers and see if that works. Hopefully, I can
Do
make.
the Toyotas do the same areas? Like, is it always Champlain, our area, and then
Yeah,
okay,
the Northeast Division. It's usually a combination of Champlain, St.
St.
Lawrence,
Lawrence,
like a Potomac River or an upper
Potomac River?
the one in Virginia there. Sorry, and
Oh yeah,
but yeah, the
yeah. Those are the ones.
James River down in Virginia.
Okay,
Yeah, Oneida. It's like the same couple, and then every once in a while they replace one with the other. Since I've been fishing,
okay.
it's been Champlain and St. Lawrence have always been on.
On target. Okay. Do you have to qualify for it, or is it not automatic?
No,
You can just as long as you pay, you can get in.
yeah, so they're all opens
Okay.
until you get to, I think, to the invitationals. Once those guys,
Okay.
you need a certain amount of points, and like the championships and stuff, you have to qualify for. So we have a regional at the BFL level.
Okay.
I think they changed it. I think it's the top 45 go on
Okay.
to the regional now, and it's similar with the Toyotas qualifying for the Toyota Championship. Same idea. So they have a certain amount from each division, and then they go fish a championship. So
Okay. Nice.
yeah, but
Absolutely.
we'll
Cool.
see.
So that's something to think for next year.
Yeah, that's they're gonna come out, I'm sure, in the next few weeks or so here and kind of
Yeah.
let us
The
all
schedules and
figure it out. Yeah, we're kind of all sitting, or I am. I don't know about everybody else. But I'm kind of sitting on the edge of my seat. So
yeah, absolutely for sure. Absolutely. Excellent.
yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, like I said, tight lines tackle, Cornwall. If you're up the St. Lawrence, I know there's a couple of tournaments going on. We got Toyotas coming up. It's that time of year where a lot of people are making the trip up there. Definitely check them out. Grab your passport. Don't get stopped at the border
Yes.
like I did. Could ruin the whole the whole adventure.
Yeah, the whole experience.
It's a great shot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we're also online. So if ever you guys need anything online, we are available for sure. Timelinestackle.ca. So if ever there's anything we can help you with, but yeah, if you're in the area, definitely mention that you saw us on the podcast. I'd love to meet you for sure.
Yeah, the shop's super easy to get around. I've navigated some of the stuff online too, so super easy. You can get what you need, and yeah, definitely help them out where you can. But I
Absolutely.
appreciate you coming on to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and guys, stay tuned. Hopefully, we got a couple new more episodes for you soon. So, all
Perfect.
right, peace.
Good luck. Thanks, Colin. Appreciate it.
Yeah.